Sola. Este proyecto, lanzado en colaboración con el grupo Eslabón Armado, se convierte en un fenómeno que, me atrevería a decir, estoy casi seguro de que conoces, dado que se viralizó a una escala impresionantemente masiva. Para que te des una idea, tan solo en Spotify cuenta con más de 1 billón de reproducciones. Esta canción rápidamente alcanza el puesto número 1 de las más escuchadas a nivel mundial, según la lista de Billboard 200. Logra ser el éxito más alto jamás alcanzado por cualquier artista mexicano en esa lista y se convierte en la canción más reproducida en Spotify en todo el mundo. Su vida se transforma en una sucesión de conciertos, giras y entrevistas, como si fuera el rey Midas. Parece que todo lo que toca se convierte en oro. Cada canción que lanza o en la que tan siquiera solo aparece se convierte en un fenómeno. En abril del 2023 lanza Las Morras, seguida de La Bebé, Chanel y Rosa Pastel. Su relación con Nicki Nicole se hace oficial y se vuelve mediática, asisten juntos a conciertos, premiaciones y alfombras rojas, además de que empiezan a publicar en redes sociales un poco más sobre su vida privada. Hassan siente que tiene el mundo entero y todo lo que hay en él. Ahora es el centro de atención global, con los ojos del mundo puestos en su música y su vida. Sin embargo, con este nivel de fama, los problemas no tardan en aparecer, y cuando lo hacen, impactan con fuerza. A finales de abril, Hassan recibe una invitación para participar en un renombrado programa de entrevistas en Estados Unidos, conducido por Jimmy Fallon. Para darte una idea de la magnitud, entre los invitados previos se encuentran artistas de la talla de Paul McCartney, Bad Bunny, Taylor Swift y Elton John, solo por mencionar algunos. La razón de su invitación al programa es promocionar su canción Ella Baila Sola. Aunque su aparición en el programa transcurre sin contratiempos, los problemas no tardan en llegar. Muchas personas expresaron su descontento porque ningún miembro de Eslabón Armado, el grupo que originalmente compuso la canción, fue invitado al programa, dejando que Peso Pluma acaparara todo el reconocimiento y crédito. Pero estas quejas no provinieron solo de los fans. Pedro Tobar, quien escribió la letra y compuso la música de Ella Baila Sola, se queja en redes sociales al respecto, diciendo que se siente decepcionado. El segundo motivo de crítica radicaba en la visibilidad otorgada a un artista acusado de promover la violencia y la narcocultura, glorificando a capos que han causado un gran daño al país y cuya música es vista como una apología del crimen. Personalmente considero que artistas como Peso Pluma o el género de los corridos tumbados simplemente reflejan un problema mayor, por el cual los estados y las sociedades tenemos una considerable responsabilidad. Sin embargo, profundizaré en este tema más adelante. Pero ya para este momento no era la primera vez que este artista había sido vinculado o acusado de promover tales contenidos. De hecho, en un festival en Culiacán, al que fue invitado a cantar de último momento, se observó en las pantallas detrás de él una foto de Joaquín Guzmán mientras Hassan cantaba. En otra ocasión, un concierto que tenía planeado dar en Guanajuato tuvo que ser pospuesto por problemas logísticos, pero sobre todo por los permisos gubernamentales. Por ese entonces, el Estado estaba experimentando niveles altos de violencia y criminalidad por parte de la delincuencia organizada, por lo que se especula que las autoridades intentaron controlar y reprimir este tipo de conciertos. Y los problemas para Hassan no se limitan a su país de origen, ya que también ha enfrentado censura a nivel internacional. En 2023 estaba programado para presentarse en el Festival Viña del Mar en Chile, pero comenzó a generarse controversia en el país. Muchas personas, incluyendo al sociólogo Alberto Mayol, criticaron su participación en el evento. Mayol solicitó que se reemplazara a Hassan por alguien que no estuviera financiado por el narcotráfico, ya que para él transmitirlo en vivo sería igual a transmitir la voz del narco. Este control por parte de las autoridades no hizo más que aumentar en años siguientes, ya que hasta se volvió ilegal en algunos estados cantar este tipo de canciones. La reciente prohibición en el estado de Chihuahua, en México, se implementó después de que legisladores en varios estados de México promovieran reformas para vetar los conciertos de corridos tumbados bajo el argumento de que incitan a la violencia. Incluso durante un reciente concierto, Julián Álvarez y Alfredo Olivas comenzaron a interpretar El Malo de Culiacán, pero se vieron obligados a interrumpir su actuación al recordar que en esa ciudad los corridos están prohibidos. Las sanciones económicas para los artistas que incumplan esta normativa oscilan entre los 650,000 y el 1,250,000 pesos. Figuras como el Profe Nata y Grupo Firme ya han sido multados por cantar canciones prohibidas en Chihuahua. Desde mi punto de vista, esta medida solo sirve para envolver el tema en un aura de morbo y rebeldía, lo que irónicamente podría llegar hasta reforzar su atracción. En medio de estas polémicas, otros dos problemas más se cocinan: la infidelidad en su relación con la artista argentina y el consumo de sustancias. La verdad es que estos temas seguramente ya están muy distorsionados por el chisme, así que yo no me voy a meter en la vida personal, a mí me interesa la vida artística. Y llegados a este punto del video, quiero hablar del elefante en el cuarto. ¿Peso Pluma glorifica la narcocultura? En múltiples ocasiones él ha dicho que más que glorificarla está hablando sobre la realidad del país, y en este punto me parece que tiene algo de razón. Me parece que figuras como Peso Pluma y en general todos los corridos tumbados y toda la romantización de la narcocultura no son el problema, son un síntoma. narrativa. La popularidad de este tipo de música en Latinoamérica y México, además de ser por las melodías e instrumentos, me parece que es por los temas de los cuales habla. Toda la popularidad que han adquirido es en parte gracias a un modelo aspiracionista que la sociedad clasifica como exitoso, hasta el punto de que algunas personas llegan a ver a estos individuos como si fueran superhéroes. Y quiero que te quedes con esta idea. ¿Superhéroes? ¿Qué son los superhéroes? Son individuos que logran lo imposible, consiguiendo con esto admiración, reconocimiento y respeto. Y en México, para muchos, eso que parece imposible es salir adelante. Es salir de la pobreza, es ayudar a tu familia, es conseguir una casa grande y lujos. En México y muchas partes de Latinoamérica, para un sector muy grande de la población, esto parece imposible, porque las oportunidades parecen inexistentes trabajando honradamente. Así que es aquí cuando entran las otras alternativas. Las personas que carecen de estas oportunidades puede que logren sentirse identificados en las historias de capos que empezaron teniendo nada y a través de actividades ilegales y mucho esfuerzo rápidamente lograron abrirse camino a una nueva vida llena de riqueza material, cosa que para un gran sector del país hubiera sido imposible teniendo un trabajo honrado en países con gobiernos o situaciones como lo pueden ser México, en una sociedad en donde el consumo, la acumulación y la riqueza material son sinónimos de éxito, respeto y admiración. La gran mayoría de las personas en México ni trabajando toda su vida en un trabajo digno podrían conseguir esto. Por lo tanto, esta otra narrativa de una vida corta pero llena de riqueza material, lujos y ostento, respeto, admiración, poder, se puede volver muy atractiva. Esta podría ser una causa de por qué los distintos narcotraficantes pueden verse como modelos a seguir. Y como otra posible causa de este síntoma, también me gustaría hablar sobre las narrativas que los medios han creado y que los gobiernos han fallado en crear. Los medios, mediante novelas y series, también han enaltecido y mitificado las figuras de los capos, pero los gobiernos no han fomentado narrativas ni figuras a las cuales aspirar. Pareciera que hoy por hoy no existen narrativas alternas que fomenten una vía de realización fuera de la lógica del consumo y el dinero, en donde el éxito no sea sinónimo de riqueza material. Parece que no existen formas de conseguir admiración y respeto fuera de quién es el que más acumula, gasta y consume más. ¿Y cómo la sociedad pudiéramos crear estas historias? Luchando por un sistema más justo, dando oportunidades reales a las personas, visibilizar y amplificar las historias de héroes verdaderos que fomenten los valores que queremos ver en la sociedad. Quizás así un día se podría hacer famoso un corrido sobre la historia de uno de estos. Por mi parte, como siempre, pienso en este tipo de casos, es muy difícil crear un juicio moral sobre la persona, ya que lo único que sabemos es lo que los medios nos dicen. Opiniones que tienden a estar sesgadas hacia el lado negativo, amarillista, sensacionalista, ya que a fin de cuentas eso es lo que más vende. A mí me gusta más enfocarme en los aspectos positivos. El cómo Hassan ha logrado darle exposición a México y cómo a través de su sello discográfico ha apoyado a muchos talentos nacionales. También mencionar que constantemente está reconociendo que él es solamente la imagen de un proyecto mucho más grande, conformado por músicos talentosos, managers hábiles y productores increíbles, quienes todos en su conjunto conforman el proyecto de Peso Pluma. Acciones que nos hablan sobre la humildad y el reconocimiento del trabajo en equipo. De mi parte, solo me queda desearle lo mejor a este chico y espero que siga poniendo cosas nuevas en este mundo. Si quieres que relate y reflexione sobre tu historia favorita o responda a dudas o comentarios, puedes volverte miembro del canal dando clic aquí abajo donde dice unirse. Esto te dará acceso a muchos beneficios exclusivos, además de que estarás apoyando inmensamente el canal. Si quieres ver más relatos, reflexiones e interpretaciones de historias, puedes darte una vuelta por el canal. Si buscas un poco, tal vez encuentres tu historia favorita. Y por si no lo sabías, tengo 3 libros publicados que puedes pedir desde cualquier parte del mundo. Aquí abajo te dejo la liga. Muchas gracias por tu apoyo. Nos vemos en el próximo video.
Da el salto con las ofertas de Hostinger. Por solo $27.99 al mes por cada bandeja de entrada, reduce a la mitad tu tiempo de respuesta con un email profesional con IA. Consigue un
guys, going to be taking a look at the HP Reverb G2 in the Oasis Windows Mixed Reality driver for SteamVR. So, as easy as possible, you connect your USB-C, turn on your controllers, and that's pretty much it. And you don't actually need to run this once you've got everything installed. I can click a SteamVR icon I've pinned to my taskbar down here, and because it's a native SteamVR driver, this is just going to pick up straight away and be able to use the HP Reverb G2. The controllers do that, they go into their little thing, but you move them, they come back alive. So let's get a SteamVR mirror up here. There we go. Super easy, super cool, and with my love for native SteamVR, this means anyone that's coming from Windows Mixed Reality is going to get a humongous performance boost, not having to run Windows Mixed Reality in front of SteamVR. And you don't need to keep using these old tutorials for the OpenXR toolkit and all these workarounds, Open Composite. Just don't bother. It's native SteamVR, so you've got the maximum compatibility. You've got obviously a lot less resources to deal with. If I bring up one example on my desktop, so let me see. So I can use this as an example. Excuse the recording of a screen, I can't be bothered to do this properly. So we have 3.6 gig of VRAM and 33% GPU utilization, just being in the SteamVR void with Windows Mixed Reality. So that is a lot of resources compared to my Pico Neo 3 Link, which is native SteamVR as well, with 2 gig of GPU memory, 15% or 14% utilization. And I can show you right now, without any editing or trickery, if I go into the performance here, what we're at on the GPU, and get back the zoom, 1.7 gig of GPU memory, 1% GPU utilization. That's not right, is it? Oh no, that's not right, because I've got the thing up. Even still, 10% GPU utilization and 1.7 gig of memory. So huge savings to be had on this. There's obviously more I'm going to go into or magically transform into an OBS recording now. But anyone that's obviously got your old Windows Mixed Reality headsets, the beta's been pretty damn smooth. Matthew's just a complete genius, as you would expect. And having native SteamVR on these things is absolutely transformative. So you've got way more performance on tap. Being native SteamVR, you can use SteamVR as the OpenXR runtime, which is a good thing, really good thing. You can still use your OpenXR toolkit on top of that if you really want to, but you don't need to do that for performance reasons. So again, just use the headset, enjoy, no stress, and it's absolutely fantastic. So big thumbs up, 2 thumbs up. I can't give you the second thumb up, we're going to drop the camera to Matthew and Busha, as you know him, with all the work he's been doing. Absolutely amazing result, and this makes it a very good headset. Pick them up on the cheap. Go quick and get them out while they're cheap, to native SteamVR. So yeah, I'll do a bit more in the OBS recording now and show you what the deal is within SteamVR. Okay, and we're back in SteamVR, taking a look at the Oasis driver for Windows Mixed Reality headsets. So not entirely fair that SteamVR is always going to show really low usage time to people using this, because it's basically treating it as a driver install. So once you're done, you really don't need to use the program here, but that's not entirely fair as a representation of the upkeep and sort of people's usage time into using the actual driver. So unlocking the driver and controllers is super easy. It does use Bluetooth from your PC, so either your motherboard like I'm doing here or a USB adapter to get the controllers working. That isn't part of the headset combo. It may later come, but I'm honestly not sure. But you will need a Bluetooth connection on your PC to get your controllers up and running. There's no tracking loss or anything weird from that, in my experience. What I believe is going to happen is essentially this driver is going to naturally support the latest Windows 11, so 24H2 and beyond. Or you can use it on Windows 11 23H2, which I'm doing right now. It's really to avoid sort of conflicts. Not everyone's going to understand where to look and what to do to avoid Windows mixed reality stuff interfering, because as you can imagine, when it's baked into Windows and you're wanting to use something that doesn't require that, it's going to cause some issues. It's easily fixable, but I believe the simple solution is just to say 24H2 is what you want to use, especially when the old 23H2 is going to be outdated and unsupported soon. So in all honesty, it's time to upgrade, and you'd want to upgrade anyway if you're going to be using your Windows mixed reality headsets again. So going back into that, Windows 10, I don't know. I'm just going to say no, don't use Windows 10. You should not be using Windows 10 at all at this point. So let me go into a few of the SteamVR side of things to cover anyone that's new to a native SteamVR headset. There's a few features you want to be aware of. First among which is the refresh rate selection is within SteamVR itself, and this is obviously 90 Hz and 60 Hz is supported. If you change any of this at the moment, it will change everything in SteamVR and everything you launch into in SteamVR, unless you are using a per application video setting for your refresh rate. So let's say you want to be at 90 Hz everywhere, especially if you're going to be playing Beat Saber and you come back out. If you then go into, say, Microsoft Flight Simulator, which I guess would be handy at 60 Hz, you can do that in the settings for the applications, but if I can remember which one it is, it's in video. And then per application video settings, you can just select whatever title you've got. So I'm just going to use Aliens here, for example. Scroll down and select the per refresh rate override, and then select your 60 Hz. And that's it. So when I launch into that particular game, it changes it from 90 to 60, and when I exit the game, it changes it from 60 back to 90. Super easy, super quick, you haven't got to do anything, and that's been incredibly stable for me. So moving on, a few more features that are obviously native to SteamVR. All of the brightness and stuff control is going to be baked in. There's a night mode under the general, I'll stick general actually, just to go over this. In the general settings there's a night mode that obviously does the obvious, just making the screen a little bit dimmer. There's SteamVR motion smoothing, which I personally don't use because I like to tune my games myself. However, if you're getting up close to your frame time limit, say 90 Hz, you've got 11 milliseconds frame time limit, then motion smoothing can just stop things looking a bit weird and going a bit jittery. This doesn't necessarily mean it's going to lock on a half frame rate. That's not how motion smoothing works. It will activate your GPU encoder and take a little bit more resources while it's on, and actually lower your frame time budget a little bit. So down to about 9 milliseconds I find is when it actually kicks in to the motion smoothing frames, even though 11 milliseconds is my total budget. So motion smoothing itself in SteamVR, essentially if you're not making frame rate, it does the obvious. It doesn't give you a really crap image in headset. It means when you turn your head, it still feels completely natural in the game world. But what you will find is, say if you've got maybe a propeller on a plane or something, you've got that depth difference, and you're going to be seeing some artifacting. It's completely tolerable. Most people probably aren't even going to notice it if you've been used to sort of the Oculus ASW. While it's not as good as the Oculus ASW solution, again, I just try to avoid it. I try to stay out of it. So it's there, it can be used. By default, it's going to be on. Again, depending on how you want to run your system, how you're tuning your system, you've got the option within SteamVR. Perfectly fine. You don't need to resort to anything else. You certainly don't want to go without it if you're not making frame rate, or if you're going to be locking a lower refresh rate target. So again, 90 Hz here, going back to the per application video settings. If you were to go down and use this throttling behavior within SteamVR per application, you can select again. you're ever going to get from that is 150%. It doesn't mean that it automatically adjusts you on the graph up and above or below that. It basically does a little test when you fire up SteamVR. See up next a runtime, which is a motherboard like I'm doing here. So yeah, I'll do a bit more in the OBS recording now and show you what the deal is within SteamVR. Okay, and we're back in SteamVR, taking a look at the Oasis driver for Windows Mixed Reality headsets. So, not entirely fair that SteamVR is always going to show really low usage time to people using this, because it's basically treating it as a driver install. So once you're done, you really don't need to use the program here, but that's not entirely fair as a representation of the upkeep and sort of people's usage time into using the actual driver. So unlocking the driver and controllers is super easy. It does use Bluetooth from your PC, so either your motherboard like I'm doing here or a USB adapter to get the controllers working. That isn't part of the headset combo. It may later come, but I'm honestly not sure. But you will need a Bluetooth connection on your PC to get your controllers up and running. There's no tracking loss or anything weird from that in my experience. What I believe is going to happen is essentially this driver is going to naturally support the latest Windows 11, so 24H2 and beyond. While you can use it on Windows 11 23H2, which I'm doing right now, it's really to avoid presentation of what the deal is within SteamVR. It as a driver later come, but I'm not. While you can use it on Windows 11 23H2, which I'm doing right now, it's really to avoid sort of conflicts. Not everyone's going to understand.
You clicked this video because you don't like reading documents. The author of Oasis Driver has a detailed instruction in his document. You don't read documents leading to your errors. Oasis Driver is not plug and play. You cannot just click start and it runs. Before unlocking devices, some steps are needed. You need your two controllers. Oasis Driver does not support HP headset built-in Bluetooth. So you need your Windows Bluetooth, whether built-in or external USB dongle. To repair your controller, ensure you see both left and right controllers. In Windows settings, if you don't know how to pair HP Reverb G1, I will tell you now. There's a button on the back. Pair them, then you can go back to Steam to unlock. Unlocking the device is very important. You must see unlock your controller for both controllers. Only then you can truly run your game. And then you can start your Steam VR. Don't start Steam VR before this. It's very important that in Steam VR you see your VR headset and 2 controller icons. All 3 must be lit. If not,
Understand where to look and what to do to
I think there are a lot of people who already know this, but a link cable. In this video, I'll show you how to use a link cable as to Quest 3, Quest 3S, doesn't matter which one you have, and then has a separate USB-C you plug a charging adapter in. I've placed the link to the download on Meta's website. Back in the QuestLink app, your headset should now be listed here. Click on Setup in the blue banner at the top of the screen, then click on Link, then Continue. Here it's telling us to connect our link cable to our headset. We've already done that, so we can click Continue again. At this screen, we can test our connection. If you get a low bandwidth message like this one, and you know you're plugged into one of your PC's USB 3 ports, then you'll want to make sure your Quest is on and not asleep, and then unplug your link cable from the headset and plug it back in, and click Test again. You should get a compatible connection message at this point, and you can click Continue for the last time. Congratulations! Your Quest is now paired with your PC. From here, we're going to put on our headset, and from the menu bar, we're going to select Quick Settings, which is where the time is displayed here. And in this next menu, we're going to click on Link right here. Your PC should already be selected, but if it isn't, you'll want to click on it so this little radio button is selected, and then you can click Launch. This will take you into the QuestLink menu, where you can visit Meta's PC VR store, interact with your PC in VR, launch games from your library, and more. I know you're excited to explore all of this now, but there's a few more things that we should talk about before I cut you loose and you start gaming. Section where we have the graphics preferences. If we click on that, it will... if this is all unfamiliar to you, best looking graphics pop, Thankfully, we do not have to download this. It comes along with the QuestLink app. However, you do need to know where it's located to be able to access it. For that, we're going to click on Windows Explorer and go to our C drive, or whatever other drive you installed the QuestLink app to. Oculus Debug Tool. Double click it to open it, and you'll see there are a dozen or more options you can mess around with, but there's only 2 of them I'm going to talk about right now. The first one being link sharpening. This option makes a big difference to the quality of the visuals. So click on the drop down here, and you can choose normal or quality. In my opinion, both sharpening modes deliver the same results, and according to information I found online, at the time I'm making this video, they both offer nearly identical visual fidelity. Just to give you a little bit of history, when quality was first introduced, it did provide slightly better looking visuals than normal, but the way that it works is also a bit more resource intensive. However, since that time, Meta has improved the normal sharpening mode algorithm, where it looks pretty much just as good as the quality mode, and it has significantly less of a performance impact, so I like to use normal. The other thing we need to enable here is the visible HUD. This will help us see what our frame rate is in the headset, as well as how much performance headroom we have left. This will help us figure out how high we can set our refresh rate and render resolution in the QuestLink app. In this dropdown that says None, we want to click here and select Performance. If your headset is powered on and connected to QuestLink at this time, you will see this overlay pop up in your headset showing the current app frame rate. Below the visible HUD option is another option called Performance HUD. If we expand this, we can then change the mode or information that is being displayed in the overlay in the headset, but for our purposes, we just want to leave it at Performance Summary. If you've been enjoying this video or simply found the information, if you see the opposite 4704 by 20 games I play, the game to need to get down. Once you've gotten your render resolution refresh VR, Alex is a, but once you are, SteamVR is a free app you can find on the Steam store, and once it's installed, you can launch it from within QuestLink by opening the desktop window from the menu bar here. I have 2 monitors, so I'm going to select monitor 1, open Steam, and then at the top of the Steam window right here, next to your Steam profile name, is a VR headset icon. When we click on that, it will launch Steam VR and take us into the Steam VR home environment, where we can then launch and enjoy our Steam VR. Our games. Now, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there are also ways to wirelessly pair your Quest with your PC and stream your VR games over Wi-Fi. If you'd like to ditch the cable altogether and still enjoy yourself some PC VR,
you